Hello, teachers and people who want to be teachers but aren't yet. Um, I am making this video because a little while ago I had somebody ask me this question, so I thought I would just respond to it in video form in case somebody else was wondering. Um, and I have to say, I'm not an expert on any of this. This is just what I have observed and the little that I know from being in the field for, about 5 years now. Okay, so should you get a TEFL certification or should you get a degree in English language teaching, etc.? Which one's best for you? Okay, I would say basically a TEFL certification, for example, like a CELTA or a TESOL certification, is going to cover you almost 100% in any case. Um, if you specifically, I would say you definitely want to do this if you are going to be teaching English short term, or if you're not certain. If you're thinking, oh, well, I might want to go to China for a year and teach, or, I want to go see what it's like, or if it's just sort of a gap year sort of thing, if you're just doing it for 1 or 2 years, definitely just get a certification. And in fact, if you're only doing it for 1 or 2 years, I would say maybe don't even get a certification unless you're definitely sure that the place that you want to go to requires it. Because a lot of places, if you're going to a small town or something, some people aren't even going to require certification. Their standards are going to be pretty low because smaller towns don't get as many mother tongue speakers. So a lot of people will just care that you're mother tongue. Um, so look into that before you spend a lot of money because certification can be anywhere from like 2 to 3,000 euros, or who knows. It depends on where you're at. It depends on the kind of programs that you have. So anyways, but I would say that you definitely want it if you're thinking that you might even be doing it for 5 years, or if you're definitely going to a city, because almost all places that are worth working at in a city require a certification. If you are in a city and the place that you're working for doesn't require certification, or you're applying to somewhere and you're thinking, oh, it's okay, they're not asking for it, so like great, I can get my resume in. Their standards are pretty low for being in a city, if they're not requiring it. So you might want to question what type of school you're getting involved in there. Um, okay, I would also suggest TEFL certification if you just want to teach. So if you want to go for it long term, but you just want to be a teacher, or if you want to do other things, like if you want to teach part time and then, I don't know, do something freelance or whatever on the side, then I would say get TEFL certification. Um, I would say get a degree probably only in the case that you are certain, looking at it, that you want to do this long term, um, or you're wanting to climb the sort of TEFL ladder. If you want to be a director of studies, or if you want to be in management, run your own school, that sort of thing, then I would say you might want to get a TEFL degree. Um, but having said that, you can get into those things without having a TEFL degree. Sadly, the standards are pretty low. Climbing though, so I would say if you're young and starting out and you really are sure that you want to go down this road, and you want to be in the field in 20 years and be in some sort of higher up position, that you want to get a degree, because right now it's not necessary at all. I've never seen anybody even request it on a job description sort of thing. Usually they say certification, but I don't even think I've ever seen or degree. So it's not out there. But in 20 years, I imagine that people are going to, at some point it's going to be getting, because people are going to get more degrees in ELT, that it's going to be more out there. So if you want to be competitive in 20 years, you might want to think about getting your degree. And it sort of covers you. I mean, you're not going to be looking down the road in 20 years and thinking, oh, look at all these young people, they're getting degrees and I don't have a degree, so I'm going to have to go back now and get my MA and ELT, even though I've been doing it for 20 years, which, can only be frustrating, right? I mean, maybe you can appreciate that then, but I don't know. It's hard to go back to school after you feel like there's nothing they can teach me that I don't already know. Um, okay, so there are BAs in TEFL, but it depends on where you're at. Some schools won't have BAs in TEFL; they'll just have certifications. You can also get an MA sometimes in ELT. or TEFL, depending, they change the name. Every school has a different name for it. TEFL, ELT, TESOL, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so it depends on where you're at. But sometimes you can get BAs, sometimes you can get MAs. I don't really see, somebody asked me if they should get a degree in English. I have 2 degrees in English, and it has nothing whatsoever to do with TEFL. I have no idea why you would want to get an English degree and go into TEFL. I mean, they are so unrelated because basically, if you get a degree in English, you're studying literature. And the only time you use literature if you're teaching TEFL is if you have a really high level class. Now, if you are going to be teaching in an English speaking country, might be necessary, might be useful, might be more, you might get more call for that sort of thing. But if you're going to be in a foreign country, I haven't taught literature once. Not once. In the entire time I've been teaching for like 5 years now, it's never come up. I wish it would. It would be great if it did. And maybe if I were in a city, it might more, but basically, you're not going to be using it. It's going to be much, if not to say that getting a degree in English isn't great and fun and wonderful and all that kind of stuff, but not really useful in the ELT field. Um, as I say, though, it could depend on where you're at. So, I mean, look at where you're thinking of going um, first and then decide on that. If you think you're going to be using it a lot, great. Otherwise, that is all that I have to say about TEFL certification versus a degree in ELT. Um, Prices and stuff depend. Oh, also, I should say something about prices. Sorry. Obviously, certification is cheaper, but as I say, if you know what you're doing and you want to get into it for long term, you might as well just go for a degree. It knocks it out right up. You don't have to keep updating it or get refresher courses on a degree. You just get it once and you're done. The prices are always different. Right now, I'm looking at a certification course that's about 2 to 3,000 euros. Um, an MA course with an ELT is about £6,000 for 1 year. And every program varies though, so you can find prices at anything. I would say don't go for really, really cheap courses because that's a little bit sketchy, especially if it's online. You want to go for something, basically look out for applications and look what people are looking for. And if all the places that you want to go say, you need a CELTA, just get a CELTA. If they say you need a Delta, get a Delta, etc. But I would say look at the sort of job applications before you decide which one you're going to get or what you're going to go for. So anyway, sorry that was a bit disjointed there at the end. But I hope that's slightly helpful for anybody that's looking into getting into the field. And that's all. Bye, guys.